Hey there, Shell Point. John High, your Academy Manager, back with you to talk about our continuation of our series on the history of the Middle East to present times with Professor Kerr.
Thank you, John.
Good to have you here again, Professor. Let's talk a little bit about Session 2. Left off with the idea of a little bit of Old Testament history for us with David and Israel and Philistines, and now we're on Session 2. So what does it look like here in Session 2, what we'll be covering?
Good. We've reached about 700-800 BC by now, and the new superpower in the area is the Assyrians,
Yes.
who were militaristic, dominating, extremely good administrators, and pretty much beat up on all the Middle East. They gave the name to Syria, for instance, although they were based in northern Iraq. Then the Babylonians took over. The Assyrians were defeated, and Babylon took over, and the city of Babylon became the greatest city in the world. Nebuchadnezzar built that,
Yes.
of course. And then the whole of the Middle East was dominated by a new group of people who we call today the Iranians or the Persians. And there were two tribes mainly in that area of Iran today, both Iranian, that's why it's called Iran rather than Persia. One were called the Medes in the north, and the Persians were in the south.
Okay.
They joined together
helpful.
on this creative leadership of Cyrus the Great, and he created the Achaemenid Persian Empire, which spread all the way from the Indus Valley through to Greece itself. And that was the largest empire the world had seen at that time, based in Babylon and two other great cities like Persepolis.
Okay.
Then, of course, no empire lasts forever, and this gentleman called Alexander the Great came along, and he decided that he would revenge the destruction of Athens that Xerxes had done, and he invaded modern-day Anatolia, Turkey, and gradually swept away the Persian army, and the king was eventually found dead. And he just put a stamp on the empire called Hellenic Empire.
Yeah.
But he didn't take my advice and didn't identify a successor.
Okay.
And so when he died, there were 17 years of warfare between his generals who took pieces of the Hellenic Empire between each of them. Rome, of course, then takes over and extends all the way to what is now the Persian Gulf. So there was extended from Scotland to the Persian Gulf.
That's
It's
right.
also a very big empire, including North Africa, Western Europe.
Yep.
And then Christianity comes at this time in Jerusalem, which is the holy city for three religions.
Yes, it
because
is.
Apart from Judaism and Christianity, now comes a new religion, Islam, 650 AD. So that throws all the cards in the air, and the explosion of conquering that came out of Muhammad, the Prophet's death, was very significant. They took Spain. Spain was an Islamic country for 700 years until 1492. North Africa was taken over by Islam. Part of Anatolia and the Middle East, of course, the Holy Land became controlled by Islam, which then brings us into the next invaders coming in from Western Siberia. They were called the Seljuk Turks. They adopted Islam, and they conquered Iran and Syria and the Holy Land. And it was that which promoted the next step in the history of the Middle East, which is the Christian desire to retake Jerusalem, the holy city of Jerusalem. And that led to the many crusades, of which the first one was stunningly successful if you're Christian, but all the rest were pretty shabby. And one particular one was desperately shabby when Venice decided they would extend their empire and sack Constantinople, which was the beginning of the end of the Byzantine Empire. So this particular talk covers a lot of ground, and religion plays a big part in it.
Yeah, just fascinating. I mean, obviously just the history, but it's a lot of these things that were just interconnected that ultimately led to empires being destroyed and other coming through, to just so many things that we now know have happened in history there in the Middle East.
Yes.
So
it's interesting to note that most empires don't go beyond 300 or 400 years.
Okay.
There are exceptions, but it's a good generality, and it leads us to ask how long will the supremacy will Britain have, and then how long is the supremacy the United States will have. And as we look over the last 2,000 years, the length of supremacy gets shorter and shorter because technology is moving so fast. So it goes from 300 years to 200 years. In the case of America, how long?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, Shell Point, you want to get signed up for this. Once again, this is Session 2 on our history of Middle East to present times. This is Monday, February 24th at 4:30 in the Grand Cypress Room. Hope to see you there.